Israel strikes across Gaza after allowing another small aid convoy into the enclave. Israel ramped up its airstrikes Monday in Gaza, where the death toll was rising rapidly, and the United States advised Israel to delay an expected ground invasion to allow more time to negotiate the release of hostages taken by Hamas militants. A third small aid convoy from Egypt entered Gaza, where the population of 2.3 million has been running out of food, water and medicine under Israel's 2-week seal. With Israel still barring entry of fuel, the UN said its distribution of aid would grind to a halt within days when it can no longer fuel its trucks. Heavy airstrikes demolished buildings across Gaza, including in areas where Palestinians were told to seek refuge, killing hundreds and sending new waves of wounded into already packed hospitals, according to Palestinian officials and witnesses. After a strike in Gaza City, a woman with blood on her face wept as she clasped the hand of a dead relative. Late Monday, Hamas announced that it had freed an additional 2 hostages on humanitarian grounds. Israeli media, citing an anonymous official, confirmed the release, but there was no formal announcement from the Israeli side. Israel is widely expected to launch a ground offensive in Gaza, vowing to destroy Hamas after its brutal October 7 rampage into southern Israeli communities. The US has told Iranian-backed Hezbollah in Lebanon and other groups not to join the fight. The US advised Israeli officials that delaying a ground offensive would give Washington more time to work with regional mediators on securing the release of more hostages taken by Hamas during its deadly incursion, according to a US official. Tanks and troops have been massed at the Gaza border, and Israel says it has stepped up airstrikes to reduce the risk to troops in the next stages. A ground excursion is likely to dramatically increase casualties in what is already the deadliest by far of 5 wars fought between Israel and Hamas since the militant seized power in Gaza in 2007. More than 1,400 people in Israel have been killed, mostly civilians slain during the initial Hamas attack. More than 5,000 Palestinians, including some 2,000 minors and around 1,100 women, have been killed, the Hamas-run health ministry said Monday. That includes the disputed toll from an explosion at a hospital last week. Israel said it had struck 320 militant targets throughout Gaza over the last 24 hours. The military says it does not target civilians, and that Palestinian militants have fired over 7,000 rockets at Israel since the start of the war. On Sunday, Hamas said it destroyed an Israeli tank and 2 armored bulldozers inside Gaza. The military said the raid was part of efforts to rescue hostages. On Monday, the Palestinian Red Crescent said 20 trucks entered Gaza carrying food, water, medicine and medical supplies, through the Rafah crossing with Egypt, the only way into Gaza not controlled by Israel. It was the 3rd delivery in as many days, each around the same size. The UN has said 20 trucks amounts to 4% of an average day's imports before the war and that hundreds of trucks a day are needed. An airstrike hit a residential building some 200 yards, from the UN headquarters in Rafah on Monday, killing and wounding several people, according to an Associated Press reporter at the scene, underscoring the perils of humanitarian operations. After a day of intense strikes, Rafah's Abu Yusuf al-Najjar hospital registered 61 deaths since Monday morning, its spokesperson said. With no room in the morgue, more half the bodies were lying in the hospital grounds, spokesperson Talat Barghout said. At least 1.4 million Palestinians in Gaza have fled their homes, and nearly 580,000 of them are sheltering in UN-run schools and shelters, the UN said Monday. No aid will be distributed in Gaza City and other parts of the north, where hundreds of thousands of people remain. Gaza City's main al-Shifa hospital, with a normal capacity of 700 patients, is currently overwhelmed with 5,000 patients, and around 45,000 displaced people are gathered in and around its grounds for shelter, the UN said.